Sort of like.
Hello. Hey, Maggie. We miss you in school.
Want a copy of those? Want a copy?
There are a lot of shows.
No.
You look at them and you go, what?
Best show ever.
Hola. ¿Cómo está?
Say hi to Maggie.
Hi, Maggie. All right. She's gonna be like, what?
I'll be around. Or do you remember there was one where they would start and all
I am doing review in Japanese.
and like four of them you
We're
could go
solid
through.
wood.
No, but one of them or two of them would be,
Which you could
would
go
be-
through, yeah.
couldn't go through.
And you
So
see,
boom! It was like
that was one of my favorite ones.
yeah, that was wild.
Because it was like 4 layers of it, just running into like solid wood doors, and like the one you could go through.
I like that when they, especially the thing where there's those gigantic balls they tried to, nobody ever hit the cross, right? And they
The
take
ones
some
in the-
horrendous ones and they show the thing again and again. What I don't understand is how they don't break their necks.
Oh,
It's pretty cushioned, I think. I think it's pretty cushioned.
Have you seen in slow motion the way they hit?
yeah, they get this.
You must have to sign a pile.
The worst is when they go too
Release.
far and just
I love
grind
that
right
show.
on it.
I absolutely love that show. You cannot like watch that without cracking up the whole
No,
time.
you really can't.
I like it though when they sample.
They're doing it again, you know.
I'm sure.
And you know what?
It's outrageous.
On Long Island, they're running a wipeout competition where you can actually,
Oh, I might
yeah,
enter.
yeah.
I might enter that.
Or when they go to the things where the punchy things come out, you have to kind of go along.
They
the
punch
ledge.
the hell out of you.
You miss 3 and you go, oh, I'm gonna make it. And then they just
Boosh.
boosh.
We should all study together.
That's great.
And they don't get up. They, all of a sudden, that person is not competing anymore.
Yeah. Oh, he had
They
a
just-
minor injury.
And you don't know. They never talk about that person again.
Meanwhile, the guy disappears, never comes back.
He goes under and
tweaking out in the
let's go to
back.
commercial.
Go to
think I
commercial.
broke my
Go to
back.
commercial.
Yeah, we can't take it.
And then he
Cut,
goes,
cut.
That's
five
awesome.
people that somehow make it. Some really whacked out people are really good.
Really
Yeah,
good.
they are, yeah.
Incredible
Really
balance
good.
and fearless.
That's like the one guy that made it through the American
We
Ninja
should,
Challenge.
we were
He's
talking
like
Mike about
5'6" Japanese dude. That there's all these jacked guys that can't hold on, and the guy's just whoop, whoop, whoop.
Yeah, he's little, right? He's like,
He's
yeah.
awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. And they're like on the one that you run up, and it's the big ramp with the curve at the end. And he's like, oh, he's never gonna make it up this first try. He's up.
Yeah, they're checking her.
That show's
Awesome
nuts.
guy.
What was the
guy.
one that the hardest thing was that thing where you had to like
The bar.
You had
holding
to-
the bar.
Oh, the salmon ladder.
that's
Oh.
nuts.
Yes. Oh my
Either
God,
that, or when you
That's
hit
all
just
I've
on your
never seen it.
fingertips.
I was like,
You have to go.
Because didn't they pop out if you pulled too hard or
Yeah.
pulled out?
Yeah.
You had to like pull down.
Where
Yeah,
exactly
you
do
had
you
to go
fall
up, you had to
if
come like
you
up
don't
and like
make it?
Did you have to hook
like
it?
50 feet to the water.
You had to hook it, right?
Yep, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was one where you had to go up and then back down, which was like ridiculous.
At the end, yeah. Oh.
Like,
Well, at
what?
Tough Mudder, they grease every other rung.
Oh, dude.
That's
Oh.
So you have 200 rungs in one of the things, and you had to go uphill. So you had to go uphill and then downhill.
Oh,
So there's
Yeah.
no way you can do it
Oh, you
without
can't do
falling.
it. It's impossible. But you keep falling in, and then you don't get credit for the obstacle if you don't complete it. So you have,
Oh,
you
So how
have
do
to
you
try to
make it
complete it.
past the
complete it.
greased one? What do? You swing past
You
it?
fall about 20 feet into the water, smash down, get back up, run to the beginning again, and hope
You
that the
trying?
grease is worn off on the one
Yeah.
on the
You
run.
guys go ahead. Just,
Yeah, I think. Tell me how
That's
it
why you
is.
sign a death waiver before you run that thing.
Oh my God. I didn't know they did. Do people actually make it without falling? No, nobody makes it without falling.
No, I've never seen anybody make the rungs. Not in Trenton, anyway. I've never seen anybody complete the rungs. Not that I see everybody, but I've never, like when I've been there, I've been at the front line with the Marines, and I've never seen anybody make it. Yeah, they don't like never make it. And it's quite a fall. It's quite the
12
fall.
feet is-
Is it? Is that
Yeah, it's
what
12 or
into
15
the
feet. It's quite the
icy
fall.
Mud or muck or?
Oh yeah,
That's a different one.
yeah. It's into the mud, muddy water.
Yeah, it just makes me want to sign up right away. No, I'm gonna send Edgar and my place.
Do you know,
Got it.
out of an entire day, it's the most times in my entire lifetime that I've said, "You've got to be kidding me." I must have said that like I don't know how many times, and I swore quite a few times too. But I mostly said, "You have got to be kidding me." So we get out of the water. I'll tell you, you guys love stories, right? You don't mind stories. Yeah. So, in Trenton, you start out in New Jersey running behind a monster truck. All right. So you're sprinting behind a monster truck that's blowing hardcore diesel out of mufflers about this big into your face. So you're running and you're like, and then you get into the water right away. So you're on the wires in the water. So you're running the wires in the water. Yeah, it's 28 degrees in the water. And then when you get in the water, then you're running in the water, and then you have to climb this thing, and then you have to jump off of it. It's about 20 feet into the water to swim across. So you swim across, and you're swimming, and your body doesn't want to swim because it freezes to death. Your muscles seize. So they pull about 3/4 of the people out of the water in the first 2 minutes of being in the water before you even start swimming, because people can't get their body to swim. So, I start swimming. I jump in. You come up. It takes forever to come up, and then your lungs feel like they're being absolutely crushed. So you're swimming, and then you have to get to the end, and you have to swim under the barrels, up under the barrels, right? So Leslie was running with me, and I lost her behind the monster truck, and she was so cute. It was like a movie. She's like, "Just go at your own pace. I'm okay back here." I was like, "Sweetheart, you've done a run with me. I'll slow down." She goes, "No, you got this, girl. Run." So I'm like, okay. So I'm bucking, and I end up running with these two younger guys, probably Alex and Dave's age, sweetheart guys. So I'm running, and we're in the water, and I was pissed off because I can't reach the ground, and so I actually had to swim twice, because I can't touch the ground. If I put my feet down, I go under the water. So I'm swimming next to this guy, and he's like, "Oh, it sucks." He goes, you can't stand up." And I'm like, "No, I can't. I have to swim." And then the two guys are running with me. They're like, run with us, we'll run with you." They call me Lady.
Hey, lady.
Hey, lady.
I was like, if I run past you, then don't call me Lady. All right, they were cracking up the whole time. They were laughing at me because I'm making jokes the whole time. So the one kid turns around, and he looks at me and he goes, "I don't want to be offensive, ma'am. Now, ma'am."
I'm sorry, I'd throw ma'am out
Ooh,
too.
killing me here. So he goes, "I don't want to be offensive, ma'am, because you have any idea where my balls are right now?" And I go, "No, I actually don't." He goes, "Know
It
about where
might
your
be in your
tonsils
stomach."
are?" He goes, "That's about right now where my balls are, because that water was freezing." I could barely run. I was like, crap. These kids were great. They were so fun to run with. So they were so adorable. He really turned around and said, "I don't want to offend you." He goes, "But it was hysterical. I could not stop it." So we get running again, and our bodies are starting to heat up, and that's really bad, because you just came out of ice cold, freezing water, and your body starts heating up. So his buddy, who didn't make the comment, starts puking everywhere. All right. So he's running, and he's like, "Bleh." And he's like, his friend's like, "Just throw up and run. Keep running. Throw up and run." I'm like,
Reset button.
I've been watching the poor kid try to run and vomit at the same time. I was like, "Bye guys." They were like,
"See you, lady."
"Lady,
wait."
They were like,
Lady got a date.
Lady's gotta go.
So I get on the motocross course, right? And I'm booking ads on the motocross course, right? You're in mud about, I don't know, a foot deep, and sometimes it's up to here. So you wouldn't even know when it happens. You'll be running and you'll see a dip, and all of a sudden you're drowning in mud. So I'm running, and they have all these sprayers set up. So I just started to get warm, all right? And then this ice freezing cold sprayer hits you right in the face while you're running. And I'm like, "You gotta be kidding me."
This sounds so miserable.
You don't even know.
I'm down now.
You know what the problem was?
I'm even
I
more
couldn't
excited.
get warm. My muscles kept shivering, so I could not stop running for a second. I was booking, and the only reason why I was booking is because I was freezing.
Gotta warm up.
Freezing. I'm like, then they have the wires, so you're like, oh, now you have to actually go under the water, in the mud, under the wires. And I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. So then I go, I go into the water. And then they have this gigantor hill, right? It's a motocross hill. It's monstrous. Not one single person can physically make it up this hill. It's impossible. Impossible. So you have to form a human chain to get up the hill. You cannot get up. And if you do get up, guess what happens? All right? So I was like, yeah, I'm running. I'm like, I'm getting up this hill. I'm going to get up this hill. I can't. Nobody else can get up this hill. So I take this big sprint and going up the hill. As soon as I get to the top, this guy comes over with a fire hose. He goes, right.
You've got to be
You
kidding
gotta
me.
be kidding me.
I
was
would
like,
punch you in the face.
really?
When I get
I was like this. I'm like,
oh, if I get up
I
there.
swear to God, I was 5 yards from the top. He walks right over the top, and he's like, because the whole thing is camaraderie. You're supposed to help each other. And I wanted to get up that hill. I was like, I'm getting up this hill. He's like, no, you're not. Yep. I said that many a time that day. But the kid wasn't that funny? I was I was barely wrong because I was
Did
laughing.
those
so
guys
hard.
make it?
No, his friend got really sick. He was really sick, started cramping up. The biggest problem is cramps. I'll be dead honest with you, because the transition of cold and then your body getting warm and your body getting cold, your calves cramp, your hamstrings cramp, and a lot of people come over the wall and they land wrong. These are 12-foot walls, and you are throwing your body over the other side. So unless somebody's catching you to stop you from getting hurt, if you go over that wall alone and you land, it's 12 feet and then you hit the ground.
Yeah.
So people were twisting their ankles, like not landing right, and then you're done. You can't run the rest of the race, So, yeah.
Carry you.
Yes, some people did carry each other. Yep, they did. They absolutely did. All right, guys. So let's get this 3B test out of our heads so that we can relax, take it tomorrow, kick butt. All right? Pretty simple. All right? The hardest thing is populations, right? It's a lot of populations.
Yeah.
All right? So I'm going to tell you which ones to concentrate on, which there's questions from. All right? We'll go over some questions first. I'll reword them for you, and then we'll go over which populations you need to focus on. All right? All right. Stretching. All right? So when you're stretching, all right, you are taking a muscle and you are increasing its length by moving the insertion away from the origin. What is a dynamic warm-up? Dynamic.
Active.
So it's active, but it is controlled, right? So it's at a controlled velocity. All right, is it ballistic? No. Do you bounce at the end range? No. All right. When can your client stretch? Does that depend on what they're doing in the workout?
Yeah.
Yeah, so according to NASM, they can stretch before, during, or after. But if you're doing power, right, or strength, it's best to stretch after. Okay, so we are using PNF stretching, all right, and we are in Form 3. So let's say we're doing Form 3. What that means is we're going to give that stretch to mild discomfort for how many seconds? 10 seconds, right? Then we are going to do what? Resistance to the range of motion for 6. But then we're also going to do what? A contraction of the opposing muscle groups throughout the range of motion. Right, so, yep. And then a stretch for another 30 seconds, right? So, everybody was here for PNF, right, I think?
Yeah.
I was a good.
Okay, yeah. When you do the physical application, it really is, you distinctly remember it then, right? Form 1 we did, but Form 3 is the one that involves the contraction in the opposite direction. So if I was doing Form 3 on Frankie, come on up. Is your hamstring tight today? Yeah.
What hamstrings left them on the track?
Yeah, I left my Achilles on the track. All right. So, go ahead and relax. Good. So, form 3, right? I'm gonna get Frankie for 10 seconds, right? In mild discomfort, which won't take much if he's sore. That's good and flexible. Good. All right. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Push down. Push down, 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 down. Perfect. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up, 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 up. Pull, 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 pull. And relax. And that is 1, 3. All right. What that means is when he pushes the hamstrings against me in this direction, I get autogenic inhibition, same muscle. When he pulls against me to pull his leg up, we get reciprocal inhibition from this group. So this is why form 3 gains what? The most amount of flexibility. Make sense? Okay.
That's it.
That's it. You're good on one side now. All right, so he's like, aren't you gonna do the other leg? All right, but do you guys understand how it works
Can you go through your points again
for form 3? Yes. So you have. Let's see. So form 3, all right, you have starts with a 10-second passive stretch, right? So we're going to bring the hamstring into mild discomfort, all right? Then we are going to do resisted range of motion with the hamstring. All right, that will give us autogenic inhibition. This all comes from the Golgi tendon organ. All right, then we are going to do resisted range of motion using the hip flexor and quads. And that will give us reciprocal inhibition. All right. Then we do 30 seconds back in what? Passive. All right. And we should gain anywhere from 15% to 30% range of motion. All right. So this form 3, uses both autogenic and reciprocal inhibition. Autogenic comes from the muscle that you're stretching itself. Reciprocal comes from the opposing or antagonistic muscle group. That's why form 3 is going to be the most effective.
And how long do you hold the antagonist muscle stretch for?
It's just range of motion.
Oh, it's just range
Yep,
of
so it may take a couple seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, but they push through the range of motion. Does that make sense to you guys? You've done the application, so it kind of makes sense to you guys. Now, they're gonna, whenever I write something on the board, it's usually the muscle group that they're gonna ask on the test, just so you know. But if I was to do stretch for calves, all right, PNF form 3 for calves, all right, it would work the same way. So we would be, right, stretching, right, 10 seconds, so somebody would stretch me 10 seconds, right, and then I would push through, and then I would pull through the range of motion, all right, and then they would stretch me again, all right. So the agonist-antagonist group would be calves and tibialis anterior, which are the muscles that are dorsiflexors versus plantar flexors. So I would still get, what, form 3, and I would get autogenic and reciprocal inhibition. Make sense? All right, good. All right, so that is PNF stretching. And the proprioceptor that's creating this, making this possible, because it is relaxation oriented, is going to be the Golgi tendon organ, and obviously this is located in the tendons. All right. You would be surprised at how much tendons play a role in muscle stability and the ability to contract as opposed to just the muscle itself. All the tendon is a continuation of what? The muscle, right? So let's say, let me just give an example. Let's say when somebody goes to the gym, I'm sure Edgar and I have seen this guy in the gym, right? Whose muscles have gotten so big that he can only do what? Limited range of motion. What will happen to this guy? He will develop a shortened muscle belly and a overstretched tendon, and what will eventually happen? He will rupture the bicep. That's what happens. All right? If you look around and you look at the older gentlemen who are still maintaining an incredible amount of size or muscular hypertrophy, what happens is they now start what? What starts going? Tendons. They all start snapping. All right? Because why? They don't have the blood supply, the nutrients, right? The plasticity or elasticity of the muscle. So if they get pulled hard for years and years, they start going. All right, does that make sense to you guys?
Would you say they become brittle, or would you say they become weakened?
They become weakened and they no longer can withstand the tension under which the muscle is putting it on. You talk to anybody in their late 40s who's still maintaining an incredible amount of muscle mass, and they're going to start to complain about snapping muscles. All right, tendons giving and letting go. All right, because they can't maintain the muscle strength anymore.
And that's why athletes, when they start to age out, they can't take that repeated maximum.
Nope, the Achilles tear, the hamstrings, tendons tear, you know, that's normal. Yeah, Dave and I were talking about Nick Rhodes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's not that old, he's a lot younger.
32.
32?
Yeah.
All right, so he's a catcher, right? So for years and years and years, he's like this, all right? Probably plays on a few leagues, right? He played, which leagues?
He doubled it as high as he got.
All right, yeah. So you spend years and years like this, guess what's gonna go? What's gonna snap? Which tendons? Which tendons? Stretch, they're on stretch.
Achilles,
Quad. Right? They land on that tibial tuberosity. You're sitting in that deep seated squat, and you're staying there for long periods of time, and the quad is gonna, at some point or another, all right? Maybe even spontaneously, all right? Just because of the constant what? Pull, all right? So, GTO is in the tendon, acts protectively to relax the muscle so you get more stretch, all right? More stretch, all right? Right. Static stretching is a form of what type of flexibility? Corrective flexibility. All right. So NASM uses stretching as corrective, static stretching as corrective flexibility. It also uses what else as corrective? Myofascial release, self-myofascial release.
As correctives?
Yep, as corrective. All right. Has anybody started foam rolling on their own on a regular basis? How's that? What do you guys feel? Do you feel better?
Oh, sir. Yeah.
More mobile?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, definitely more flexible, but
More flexible? Definitely. Are you having particular muscles that you're rolling that you notice are always kind of on fire?
yeah.
Which ones?
IT
band for you. You're running. I passed you running, by the way, the other day.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Mr. Hottie, no shirt. Yeah, wow. I was like, wow.
Did you honk at him?
No, that would be rude and inappropriate. No. I was like, look good, Mr. Alex. Yep. Of course, he was running by an elementary school, so I, don't want to beep at him, bring attention. Yeah, right on the Westport Road. Yeah. So with this, now I lost my train of thought, Alex. See what you did to me.
Damn it,
Made me
Alex.
think now.
Static stretching.
Static stretching. All right, good. So self-myofascial release, does it work, guys? Are you noticing a difference?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. My suggestion to everyone here is that you get yourself a foam roller. It is an incredible, awesome unloading experience for the body, and it really helps you heal at a faster rate. And it is something that you're going to teach every single client that you have. Even if you don't foam roll them yourself or with them, you're going to teach them how to foam roll. That will be one of their lessons one day, is they will come in and learn how to use the foam roller, right? And then your client has the opportunity to unload, all right? And if you do a NASM postural assessment, obviously this person's going to be foam rolling the muscles we need to for corrective myofascial release. All right. Almost every single person is taught to roll the muscle, because who the hell decided to call it foam rolling? It's going to just screw everybody up. Why? They're going to think automatically,
You roll.
I
roll.
literally have never seen anyone outside of here actually sit on the roller. Like at the gym across the street, everybody rolls on it. Not one person. Ever.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah. People bring it into Planet Fitness and they're like, "Nyah, nyah, nyah,
Yeah.
nyah." And I'm like, oh my god, that's gonna hurt. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, ooh. They even go over their butt bones and everything. I'm like, oh god, it's not good.
Really? Yeah. What does it do? Nothing.
Well, people buy something and they don't read about it. Like, they just assume that they'll know how to use it, and they're like, they don't actually read about it. Myofascial release can be dangerous if you're not careful about it. You start rolling tendons and nerves and stuff like that. Ooh, not really a good idea. So definitely make sure if you see anybody in there that you tell them, even if you don't believe me, you really need to look up how that thing's supposed to be used. You know what I mean?
I've said something else.
Yeah, like if you don't trust me, ask a physical therapist, because they're going to tell you, no, you should not be like, definitely not. All right. So, osteoarthritis. You guys tell me what osteoarthritis is. What's osteo is bone, arthritis is inflammation, right?
Common form of arthritis.
All right, so the most common form of arthritis. How do most people get that? Overuse. So give me an example. All right, give me an example of something in life that you might do repetitively that would cause some really bad arthritis.
Typing and computer.
So typing, where
Stacking
would you think that typing would cause arthritis?
Fingers.
Fingers, maybe wrists. All right, carpal tunnel syndrome. All right,
Oh,
if you're
yeah.
not careful, constant wrist extension. What about surgery?
Yeah.
What about post-surgery?
Happens after ACL.
Yes,
injury.
ACLs develop tremendous arthritis even in their early teens. If a gal has an
You're
ACL,
saying all
yeah,
the soccer players have it.
yeah, they're going to have arthritis in their knees. So if I disrupt a joint surgically, chances are I'll probably develop what? Some arthritis in that joint. All right. Any jobs you guys could think of that would be somebody that would develop some pretty bad arthritis just from what's that?
A pitcher.
Baseball pitcher.
Pitcher, they,
Shoulders.
you know what? They are less arthritic than they are rotator cuff tears and stuff like that. But if you get a rotator cuff tear and you get a repair,
Arthritis.
chances are you'll have some nasty
Swimmers.
arthritis. Yes. Why swimmers? Yeah, shoulders, definitely. I've had young people who are in their 20s who were swimmers and came up with and developed arthritis and bursitis in their shoulders because of their repetitive motion. Cyclists, where would they develop arthritis?
Knees, hips.
Mostly hips. Now, what happens is when you push down into the pedal, right? The head of the femur is pushed into the back of the socket against the hyoid cartilage, and then when you would do this, what?
Oh, so you're just like rubbing against.
Yeah, so you're constantly doing this with your hip. A lot of guys square out their hip. So what happens is they pedal so hard, they do tons of hills, that they actually square the hip out. So instead of it having a round socket, it now has a square socket. And these guys need total hip replacements. There are 2 guys racing right now who have total hip replacements, who are doing quite well. So does that constant wear? Yep, going to cause some problems later. There's not too many sports we can play without screwing ourselves up. That sucks, doesn't it? Like, we
Yeah.
want to play, we're made to play, that's like who we are. But anything that you do repetitively over and over and over again, any motion, anything like that, eventually is going to break down the cartilages and the joint systems into arthritic conditions and stuff like that. All right. I want to study the guy that's an athlete at like 50 and hasn't had a single injury his whole life. Figure what the hell he does right. You know what I mean? What are you doing right?
What?
All right. Okay. All right. When are we? So if we're talking about arthritis, is that inflammatory?
Yes.
Yes. But is it autoimmune?
No.
No. Okay.
Rheumatoid is.
Yeah, rheumatoid is autoimmune based. All right. When is the most amount of concern that we have for our athletes? When are we really concerned about our girls that play soccer, guys that play repetitive sports, football? When is the most injuries happen?
When they're growing.
So peak height and growth. All right. So if they grow a lot in a year, this is when tendons are burying themselves deeper in the bones. They're not quite where they should be. We're looking at now. There's a guy. His name is Dr. Andrew, and he is studying now athletes. He's looking at watching them play and determining whether or not it's the evolution of physical change of the athlete itself, a movement pattern, or turf or something else causing all these injuries. All right? What do you guys think?
What is what? I'm sorry.
All these injuries in sports. So football players now, highest statistical ever of injuries.
They're saying it's turf. I've heard that. Like, people have been going around, most recently in like my neighborhood, signed this petition to remove the turf from kids because that's what's causing all the injuries.
Right.
You know,
So possibly the surface area,
Yeah.
the turf that they're playing in.
Well, like that plays into the ability to not decelerate correctly.
It is slippery. So can you decelerate correctly if you're
Slipping.
slipping?
No.
Not really. Right? You might even go over the edge of your knee
I
very
think
easily.
footwear plays a big part of it.
Yeah, so they've been trying to compensate in every direction. So do we change the cleats, right? Or do we change the surface? Or is it the athlete? Is it a function of the athlete or the physiology of the athlete that's leading up to the possibility of these injuries going way up?
Part of it is physiology. I know that I read articles maybe a couple of years ago that they had just started making shoes differently for women than for men. They used to make women's shoes just shrunken down
Men's shoes.
men's shoes. And then the physiology of the woman is different from the man, and you know where the pressure points are, and but they would be making the shoes the same way,
Right.
and that seemed to have an effect, but that's only one part.
Yeah, so this guy, his studies will probably be done by the end of this year. And then when he comes out and he starts talking about sports injury prevention, he's going to have an entirely new approach to sports injury prevention that will probably include cleats, surface, physiology, and all of these points.
I think the thing that you mentioned about NASM in general, right from the start, was that you had a team that had the most injuries, and then when they took a look at it and used science,
It's a Phoenix Suns, yeah.
yeah, that it changed completely.
Oh, yeah.
And I think probably I'm guessing that the reason that people are injured so much is that they are not trained right.
Correct.
They don't do
They move
corrective.
like crap.
They
Just-
know how to run them around.
You automatically assume an athlete knows how to move. When they evaluated these guys, the average Joe, no offense, Joe, moved, squatted, lunged, and performed all the screens better than the athlete. The athlete got on the screens, and you're like, what the heck is
What's this
going
guy
on?
doing?
What the heck is going on? And the reason is why, guys.
All the habitual
Sports
movement.
specific.
Yes, the habitual patterns that they're doing in the sport is
Right.
causing muscle imbalances that are much more
Forever.
extreme than the average individual.
Imbalances, and then they overwork them, and
Yep.
and then and I think
Yeah,
there's
they never
also,
correct them like.
there's also a culture of replacing. You know, I got somebody to replace you if you
Right.
drop out.
You are a number. All right, you are a number.
Not for long.
Yep. I'm going to start looking at the possibility of getting involved in that not being true anymore. Because I'm seeing people's lives get dramatically changed through sports injuries and stuff like that. And I'd rather see them not happen at all. So we need to get the coaches in all the U.S. involved in prevention. and applications of prevention with their athletes and not overtraining them and learning that these people's lives, it's not politics, it's people's lives are being affected by the fact that we're not doing the right thing.
What's pushing it though is money,
Yes.
because in the concussions and the head injuries with the NFL, if you were to say how did they work out preseason and early season, and the way they do it now is completely different because of the possibilities of liability and losing, you know, $10-20 million a year players. All of a sudden, they're now working with pads
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
For long periods of time, and that's because they don't want to.
You know, it's crazy. There is much less injuries in rugby,
Yeah.
which has no equipment whatsoever, than there is in football.
Is that because the people probably feel impregnable with all the stuff on
I
the
don't-
sheets?
Yeah.
They know how much it hurts, and they know, hey, if I go this way, I'm gonna hurt
Yeah.
myself.
All right. So, if we're talking about obesity in adulthood, you guys let me know what you think about what it's more about. Is it about fat cell size? Or is, in extreme cases, about the actual number being affected? What's your opinion on what fat storage is more related to? So fat cell size. In extreme cases, though, what did I tell you?
It
It could
can
be the
increase the
number.
number.
Right, it can be the number. That's only in extreme cases because your DNA and genetic encoding is mostly what determines
That's it.
actually how much fat cells that you have. All right, set point theory and fat cell theory. So if I were you guys, I would definitely look up fat cell theory and genetic set point. And that's in your nutrition book. Fat cell theory and genetic set point. If it says theory next to it,
Important.
it's a theory, right? Does that mean it's science?
No.
No. Proven?
No.
So can you guys argue this?
Yep.
Yep. All right. Let's say we're working with a group of kids. We're trainers, and we have a group of kids between the ages of 8 and 12 years old. All right, that's our group. And we have them doing resistance training. They work on the machines that are designed for them, which I fit on perfectly, so I can work out with them. It's awesome. I'm like, yeah, leg extension, I can fit in. What's their strength gains due to predominantly? Neuromuscular coordination. All right. If you saw a kid putting on a ton of muscle, might you question that?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. 12 years old, jacked, doing Arnold poses. All right. Could he have a physiological issue with early puberty or hormones or anything like that? We're very concerned about that. Why would we be concerned about him having too much hormones at that age?
His body's not ready for it.
So he may develop what? What might be the outcome of that? Why are we so concerned?
The muscles would outgrow the bones, and then you start tearing things.
Yeah, that's true. But what else? A couple other things. Growth plates, we're worried about growth plates. What else? If everything is growing too fast, what could be going too
Your
fast?
organs.
Your organs. And what are we mostly worried about?
Heart.
Your heart. This is why they chest x-ray all the kids for sports. Because what might be going on? Have a large heart. All right. Can you play contact sports if you have a large heart?
No.
Absolutely not. All right. Should every young person have a chest x-ray before they get into any sport that has contact? Yes. I would even do non-contact. Because who's dying lately on a whole entirely different surface? You guys play the sport.
Soccer.
Basketball. Basketball.
There are actually a lot of soccer players that just have been dropping dead.
Yes, absolutely. And basketball, right, on the court. Due to arrhythmias or enlarged hearts or stuff like that. All right. Now, little kids do not deal with temperatures well, right? They don't acclimate well to temperatures or thermoregulate. Why is that?
They have a higher submaximal oxygen demand, and their glycolytic enzymes aren't fully developed.
What about sweat glands?
Sweat glands.
All right, good. So they don't have as many sweat glands yet, so they can't regulate well. How do we cool? How does our body cool?
I sweat.
Good. Now, men and women are slightly different. All right, why is that? Women and men cool completely different. All
I
right.
sweat more.
Yeah. So the guys have more sweat glands, right? So they cool by what?
Sweating.
What do they call it when you're sweat and then you cool? How's that done? What's the
Evaporation.
evaporation? All right. So evaporation. How are women different?
Are sexier.
Okay, I'll take that. Finally, he said something good about women. He's making up for lost ground with you ladies. So give him a point. Give him a point. 1 point. 1 point. Give him a star for the day. He finally said something nice about girls. All right, so we know he's a good guy. He's just kidding. So anyway, what's different? So because we are supposed to support pregnancies. How do we heat? Yes, radiantly from the inside. What?
Out.
To the out.
That's why you guys get hot flashes and we don't, right?
Alright.
Watch yourself, Dave.
Yeah,
Watch yourself,
watch
Dave. Right. We may have to
Carefully.
replace you guys' seats soon. Yeah.
Carefully.
Right. So, women don't have as many sweat glands. All right. They don't sweat as much. They heat internally. All right, or radiantly, and guys actually have more sweat glands, and they cool by evaporation. So, yeah, and actually, Dave, you are right. Yep, that's why as you go through your menopause and your changes and stuff like that, you actually get these hot flashes because you're heating. It feels like now that I have these, I'll tell you, you feel like you're burning up on fire from the inside out. And you have to restrain yourself not to become completely naked in the middle of public. Because you're just like, it's not even like, it's the weirdest hot you've ever felt in your life. It's like you're like, God, Jesus, God, God.
And it'll happen in mid-sentence, you know.
Yes.
Oh yeah, listeners.
Yeah, what's happening? So men run a slightly bit hotter than we do due to muscle volume, right? So they do run a little bit hotter than we are, but we run hot internally, right, to externally. And guys, our heat, the ambient temperature of their body is mostly even all the way around. Does that make sense
Yeah.
to you guys?
Who's more even?
Males are more even overall over their entire body, and women heat from actually the inside out. If we were in environmental situations
So wait,
where
that's
it's
their
cold,
cooling system? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, their cooling system works a little bit differently. You'll notice that guys are typically much hotter, right? So they,
Oh yeah.
except for Frankie.
always cold.
He's always freezing. All right, but why is that? Because their muscle is creating a large percentage of their heat, 85% of their heat, and they are able to sweat and cool. We heat from what? The inside out, so we lose heat much easier. Does that make sense? So we tend to run a little cooler, and even in temperatures, guys will say it's beautiful out, and the girls will be like, it's not freezing. So now, come on, you know that, right? Don't you know that? Like you guys out are all in relationships, right? Most of you, and that's usually how it goes. Like your husband is like, it's so hot in here. You're like, what?
Perfect.
Freezing.
Stay with the air conditioner in the winter.
And then you know what will happen, guys? We'll get you back because when we're in menopause, we're gonna freeze you the hell out. That's all I'm gonna say. We're gonna be like, have the air conditioning run all full power. You're like, honey, I'm freezing. Like, I don't care. I don't care. You don't understand what's going on with my body right now.
How about Frank during pregnancy? It's January. Open up all the windows. It's so good, man. Oh, it's an ice cube in the
Oh God, hon. Oh
Can we
God.
close one?
No.
And you're just like, okay, hon.
Sorry.
That's good. Sorry. Just kidding.
Going back to the room.
Lay off.
Sorry, babe. All right. Strength will slightly decrease as we age, and what is the reason behind that? Right, so loss of lean body mass, but neurologically, right, we're not firing which type
Type 2.
as good as we used to. So that we'll start to recruit more type 1, and we lose a little bit of our strength and power.
Is that like 100% true for everyone?
Yes. Yep. Sorry, Dave.
That sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. You can maintain it for a really long time though, and you'd be surprised. You just change your application of training, that's all. That doesn't mean you won't look good. I mean, there's guys I know in their 50s that have incredible physiques, even 60s, that aren't juicing, that actually just find a different approach to fitness. Frankie's a great example, right? How old are you, Frankie? He's right on the cusp of 50. And really, he's maintained an incredible physique. Incredible. Doesn't he have an incredible physique?
Oh, he does. I wish I had some.
Like,
For 49?
I thought you were 38.
Yeah.
It's always a yeah, he's not a day older than 21.
Great. And he's actually got good fast twitch muscle fiber, right? Because he ran pretty quick the other day, and he's maintaining really well. So although he's changed his fitness a lot too, right? He does a lot more cardio and running now and stuff like that. Because the problem is now you have to keep it off the fat, and it gets harder as you age, right? Maintaining your muscle, not too bad. Keeping off the fat, that's the hard part when you get into like your late 40s and stuff like that. Because you're like, all of a sudden you're like, what is that? And then you're like,
Run. Keep running.
all right. Right, exactly. All right, so if your grandma, all right, so grandma, here we go again with poor grandma. I killed everybody's grandparents yesterday, I apologize.
She gets brutalized in this.
No, I
Legions
loved
of
my grandma.
grandmas
So anyway,
were laid waste yesterday.
And my grandma was starting to lose a bit of height, and she was a little bit bent over. So if there's an older gal in her 70s and 80s, and she's starting to lose a few inches of height, is there some causes? What would be the causes of that? If she loses 2 inches in a year, oof, she probably She probably has osteoporosis. Especially, she also has what? The hunch or the curve. All right.
But does that also have to do with the cartilage shrinking between?
Yes, it does. It's a little bit of both. A little bit of both. I've seen it so bad. I feel so bad for ladies that get this horrible because you're basically looking at the floor. You can't look up. Like, you ever seen the lady that walks like this?
I've seen some, and then they try to lift their head up. And
They can't. Yeah, they can't. They're stuck like that. So they usually end up using a walker. Yeah, to help push them up a little and support them. Yeah, otherwise they're gonna go head first. Cement. That's not a good thing. All right. So. Does aging reduce your capacity to put on lean body mass? They actually say no. Nasm says no. All right. It's going to happen at a different rate.
Yeah.
All right, slower.
And you recover.
And your recovery is
But
longer.
you can still do it.
But you can still put on muscle.
But you're not that good. You went out and be like, oh, I'm doing good last night.
All right. That's why I say seniors need to be in a resistance training program. It really benefits them to have the muscle tone. To fall, they are less likely to break. It really makes a big difference.
Nazem says yes to that question.
Yes, they do. That they have basically almost the same capacity as any adult to put on muscle mass.
No, not yes, but no. You said.
Oh yeah.
You said yes.
Does aging reduce the ability to put on muscle?
No.
Nazem says no.
No. Yeah. I happen to think there is a difference. I mean, you don't have as much testosterone and growth hormone in your
If you
system.
stay inactive, you're not going to get it.
Yeah. They're saying if somebody actually
It's like trying.
becomes active, wants to
Oh,
put
okay.
on muscle,
Okay.
as an older
They
adult,
can.
that they do have the capacity.
Would it be unhealthy for an older adult to have like testosterone prescribed to them?
What age are you talking?
I don't know, like 56-year-old dude.
56-year-old. Do you know how many 56-year-olds I know that are juice heads?
I mean, I'm not even like.
Big
What if
old-
it was like an actual?
I look at them and it's like, no insult to anybody in here who does that. It's like the equivalent of somebody that's in their 40s still smoking pot. I'm like, are you done with that yet?
Yeah, it's not cool
You know what I
anymore.
mean? I don't know. I don't know.
Are
Like,
people that are 50, 60 using them like lifelong testosterone users?
no insult to anyone who does it.
Were they like lifelong testosterone users though?
Yes.
They were.
Yeah. They can't get off. It's too much of an ego. They're too
Have
ego
their bodies
addicted.
not broken down though by the time they're that age?
What's that?
Have their bodies not broken down by the time they're that age?
Some of them, they're starting to feel that the tendon issue is what happens. And it's more so likely to happen when you juice. because those muscles are big, and they're pulling on those tendons really hard.
I'm
Their
just-
capacity to heal is a little bit faster, you know. I mean, Lloyd and I joke around, and I have to be honest with you, like, just like anybody else, I've tried many a thing, I've done many a thing, I'm just as normal human as anybody else. As an adult, watching my sister go through addiction, I am the most straight-edged person you'll ever meet in your life now. Because I've watched somebody suffer and lose their entire life to drugs and alcohol. And my opinion of that has changed dramatically. Working in the ER for many years, I'm as straight edge as they come. You know what I mean? I have a drink, maybe 2 drinks, that's it, I'm done. I don't want to ever be an alcoholic. I don't want to ever be a drug addict. It's the worst life you can possibly ask for on this planet. I wouldn't want to suffer through it. But as far as those things are concerned, you know, that's all. I don't have an opinion about anybody else doing it, you know, because that's their life. But as far as being 56 years old and feeling the need
To juice up.
to like stick needles in your butt still of testosterone and take pills and stuff like that, I don't know. I don't know. I think
Well, I was just wondering if there's like a healthier way to combat that aging process. That was really what the question was.
I don't know. I look at Jack LaLanne and I'm amazed by the man. He never touched steroids or anything like that. He didn't beat his body brutally every day with heavy weights in the gym. He did calisthenics, and he was able to live to 90-something years old and still have a nice physique and a nice physique and have his mentality with it too. As well,
Absolutely.
you know. So it depends how you want to fight that. You know, if
I'm gonna be lazy about it.
right, yeah, it's the easy
Well,
way.
you're not
There are no-
lazy.
there are no
If you take
shortcuts.
testosterone, you're not lazy.
No, not by any
People
means.
work their asses off to be that in shape.
Yeah, believe you me, I understand the temptation. I've been there myself.
I mean, I'm not
So,
saying you do it.
yeah, no. But I mean, as far as you know, to fight the aging process, I'd honestly have to say that nutrition, excellent nutrition. I mean, like really knowing your nutrition and really having a tremendously highly based cardio program as you age is really what is going to keep your body very young. And the reason why I say that is because I watch all my weightlifter friends, and we all, including myself, are fighting injuries like AC separations, Achilles tears, just because we've been weighting the body so heavy for so many years. You can only do something for so many years before the body starts not like you anymore. It's like, nope, I'm dead. You know, and then you have to change your training application. That doesn't mean you can't be exceedingly fit. And I'll tell you a secret. I was up on, in New Hampshire, right? I was up on a 17-mile hike, all right? We left at 3 a.m. with headlights on. And guess who we saw up there?
Old lady.
2 old ladies in their 70s. Fit.
Hanging out.
Fit. We got up before we did to the top, and we're hanging out up there, and I said, listen, I have to tell you something. I am amazed. And she said, you know what? We do this every day. We're retired now. We love the outdoors, and we do that every day. And one of them had to use a cane going down because she's just a little bit fearful of falling.
Yeah.
But
Hey, that's alright.
can you maintain your fitness and stay young? Yes, these ladies didn't look a day over 50. And they were both in their 70s.
Wow.
So I think the true way of aging well, I mean, they're weathered.
Cardio and diet.
You're gonna get weathered out there in the environment. Look at a guy who works on like a crab boat or something like that. The salt in the air age your skin, but as far as physically, these guys are in incredible shape. You know. All right, so body weight will naturally increase a certain degree as you age. This is a certain degree. Remember we told you can write in some thoughts, but a certain degree I'd have to statistically 100% agree with. Right? Because even myself, let's say I get hurt. All right, let's say my Achilles that feels like it's going to tear off actually does. All right, I'm an absolute crazy person. So what I'll do is I'll go on my spin bike in my house for 3 hours to make up for all the cardio that I cannot do. Will most people do that? No, because they're hurt. So what are you supposed to do when you're hurt?
Rest.
Or what? Not do the things that hurt you
Not do 3 hours
anymore.
of cardio.
Right, exactly. So, might you have an injury? Might life change? Hey, listen, you guys, we have some people here who have lived, right? Have kids, married, right? At one point, kids, married.
Yeah.
Does life change? Oh, hell yeah. you have tremendous what? Responsibilities. So, and as you get up in years, those responsibilities are still there, right? Kids are in high school, they gotta go to college. Are you gonna spend 3 hours a day in the gym?
Yes.
You
One
don't
of the
have
best
you don't have
parent
3
ever.
conscious
You wake up at
hours
4 in the morning.
to do stuff.
You have 3 conscious hours. Be honest with me. You have little kids, right?
Yeah, man.
You might be able to spend 3 hours in the gym, but are you gonna feel like you have a bunch of other things you're supposed to be doing with your kids? Yeah.
Like sometimes working out, you know, you still have that. Okay, I gotta cook dinner. I have to do this before the kids get out of school. I gotta, you know, so it's
Yeah, you have a tremendous amount of responsibility, right? Listen, get your kids active because that'll help you and help them, right? You know, one of my best friends has a little guy. When we used to hang out all the time, he was 6. We bring him everywhere as much as he can tolerate. And I can't tolerate the same distances we can. So what we do is we do a short hike with him, like, you know, a couple miles. And then we have a babysitter watch him for 2 hours, and we go out on the bikes. And he's tired. He falls asleep. He takes a nap for the 2 hours, but he doesn't even know the babysitter's there. Wakes up, right? He's like, "You're back." And we're like,
You're back.
and then we're like, "Oh no,
Oh
get
boy.
ready for hell," because he already did a nap.
Put him back to sleep.
And now we have to somehow figure out how to wear him out again. All right, and that's I think kids do great when you wear them out. It's better than Benadryl, man.
Yeah.
Don't give your kid Benadryl. I'm just kidding about that.
I know someone that did.
Yes, they used to get them out of their hair for an hour or two. You're gonna want to. Don't do it. Smoke weed. Give them weed.
I don't want to deal with you. Drink
The
this.
score that will, yeah, Grandma used to do that. She was getting whiskey or rum or
the
something,
whiskey.
right? Minus 2.5, like I said, is that number for what? Bone
Osteoporosis.
density that will be
Osteoporosis.
used to
Determine osteoporosis.
determine osteoporosis. All right. We have our terms: osteoarthritis, osteoporosis, osteopenia, and osteomalacia. We all know that it has osteo in the front. It has to do with bone, right? So, osteoarthritis. Arthritis is just what? Inflammation in a joint. That's all it is. All right, arthritis. So how many different forms of arthritis do you think there are? Over 100.
Over?
All right, over 100. All right. Oh my God, yeah. The arthritises that are due to Lyme disease, the arthritises that are related to medication, the arthritises, you have osteoarthritis, osteogenesis, you have,
Are they all relatively similar though?
all they are is another cause of inflammation of a joint. That's all. I mean, the overall term just means joint inflammation.
But
That's
then it goes back to the causes.
Yes. Yep. Okay. All right. So the cause of type 1 osteoporosis. Type 1
Menopause.
menopause. So that's completely related to estrogen.
levels.
Estrogen levels. All right. Give me some risk factors of osteoporosis. Give me some underlying factors that might predispose someone to osteoporosis.
Genetics.
Yep, family history, right? Genetics. What else?
A sedentary lifestyle.
Sedentary lifestyle, definitely.
Diet, smoking.
Yep, diet, malnutrition, smoking. Culturally, is there
Do we
any?
need to know these?
Yeah, culturally, is there any?
Different cultures have different diets, so yeah.
Yeah. But I can't actually name out any specific culture that has a much higher incidence, but I have to honestly say.
Probably the United States.
Probably. Yeah.
Most likely, yeah.
Yes.
Because we're inactive, we drink soda,
overweight.
we're just like, oh.
Yeah. We're those guys.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and you wonder why people don't like us very much.
Yeah.
So, although it is the greatest place in the world to live, I don't care what anybody says. All right, and whatever opinion I throw out there, I still honestly believe that. So, guys, any other things? We talked about smoking. We talked about nutrition. We talked about genetic inheritance, right?
And your activity level.
We talked about activity level, right? Anything else?
Medication?
Yes, there you go. All right, so chemo, prednisone, medication would be also an underlying possible cause.
And these are all for the type 2 osteoporosis? Osteoporosis as a whole.
Osteoporosis as a whole.
Is it too much estrogen or a lack of estrogen?
Lack of, the numbers start to go down.
With any any osteo diseases, it's related to low estrogen levels?
No, just type 1 osteo. Just type 1.
Because I don't know, after chemo with my mother, she had an estrogen blocker, and now like all of her bones are just like
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah.
She's like the curve back and everything.
The relationship to cancer and estrogen is the reason why they give them the estrogen blocker. Tamoxifen and most of the medications that they give are either trying to keep hormones level or shut them off, one or the other. Tamoxifen is terrible, you're all over the place. It's much like, they use it for a lot of different things though. Tamoxifen is not just for
This must happen all the
cancer.
time.
Yeah, absolutely. Automatically, depending on what type of chemo that you were given, you are going to have a bone density test after you've been through chemotherapy. It's knowing what I know now, I would definitely suggest anyone in your family who's going through cancer, they have to do the treatment the doctor has in order for them, but I would definitely consider going to a naturopath and looking at some alternatives. There's people have won Nobel Prizes. There's stuff out there that a guy actually in Fairfield County, Connecticut, looked at what's that? Survivor Man ate one of these, and I was like puking watching the TV. What is that? That sea cucumber thing? The sea cucumber.
Oh, that
It looks like a
evaporates
pickle.
itself.
Yeah. Ugh. The gel from their guts is actually, guy Fairfield County somehow discovered that it protects against cancer. And he actually, you keep the gels in the refrigerator, and it's proven to lower the incidence of
drink it?
Yeah, getting back cancer. It's disgusting. But yeah, it's I see cucumbers. Oh yeah. Now that you've seen someone go through that, anything that you could do is worth trying, right? Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Let me tell you, if you're starving or if something's wrong with you, and you could do it by just sucking down some of the gel. Yeah, I would do it. Yeah. All right. The exercise prescription for bone health, I went over on the board. That was 3 to 5 days, 67 to 85%. All right. Know the osteoarthritis information. So it's the most common form of osteoarthritis.
You said the exercise, I'm sorry, going back, the exercise prescription for...
Yeah. Bone density or bone health was that it's preventative. That's why the percent is so high. Do you know what I mean? It's not if somebody has it, it's how to prevent someone from getting it. So you might start a program like that with a girl when she was in her 20s. So 67 to 85%, 30 to 60 minutes, all weight bearing activity, 3 to 5 days per week. So the gals that are in the gym lifting weights with the guys are probably a lot less likely to get osteoporosis because they push you guys to lift a little bit heavier weight. So normally that would be what they call hypertrophy protocol. What we're looking at is the NSCA version of hypertrophy protocol. The other reason is this, and Tom mentioned it the other day. The stronger and bigger our muscles are, would that protect our bones?
Yeah.
Most definitely. That's a lever system. It all works together. Just so you know, these days we can work on people to get muscles around a joint system so strong that if the ligament stretcher broke down, the muscle would still hold it in place perfectly. That's what they do with ACLs now, which means that once you pass number 3 ACL, guess what? Nobody's touching you.
Straight through.
All right. So what they do is the girls that are the mogul skiers and the downhillers all are in a program where they do tremendous quad and work, where they actually develop these muscles so powerful that they can withstand 60 miles an hour and still take their turns and everything with no ACLs. So can it be done? Yes. That's a philosophy by Dr. DiStefano, who writes that book, like I said, Muscle Medicine. Who looks
Doesn't
at-
that kind of contradicts what we talked about earlier about your muscles being too big and then your tendons?
Now, they're making up for tendons that are not there anymore. That's a different application, right? So when muscles are too large, putting forces on tendons, these are people that these ligaments are no longer existing. So we need something to hold the joint structure together correctly, and the muscles can get strong enough to do that.
So does the muscle just grow into the place where the ligament was? It just fills that gap?
No, it will not. You can convert, but what will happen is all of these structures pass the knee joint, right? So you have your four ligaments in there. You have your PCL and ACL. They go like this, right? They're tiny. They're in the middle on the tibial plateaus, and they're in the middle there. Then you have on either side your medial collateral ligament and lateral collateral ligament, right? Now your quads have a structure that comes around the front of that called the pons anserine, which is all the fibrous tissues all come in front of that kneecap, and they all connect together right underneath the patella.
Okay.
And if you develop your muscles strong enough, that pons anserine and all those muscles will
So it'll lock your kneecap?
it'll lock it together, so that you actually reinforce the ligaments by making the muscles stronger. And so that's another way of looking at the physiology of injuries and the possibilities of correction, not just going inside and putting new things in that probably won't last, but the possibility of looking at, okay, if I over strengthen these muscles, might they be able to hold this joint structure well enough in place, even under high forces? And they're finding out, yes, that it
Is that only
does
the
work.
knee, or could you do that even with the shoulder?
I would think in the shoulder would be one of the places that also would be true. Think about the capsule itself. The delts form a capsule, so you have the medial delt, anterior delt, and rear delt, right? If those are really strong, right? The problem is now these little rotators, right, are singled out to do a job, right? And that's, right, rotary cuff stuff. So if I develop scapular stabilization, which is your rhomboid straps, right, that hold the scapula in place, that is all connected to your humerus. So if you do a really good rotator cuff and scapular stabilization program, then they say that structure will hold in place a lot more effectively. So it's not so much the delts, it's the muscles that hold the scapula in place that'll help hold the head of the humerus in place. Does that make sense?
Yeah, very
to you guys? Yeah. You're right. All right, rheumatoid arthritis, what's that?
It's an immune.
Autoimmune, right? More predominant in women than men? Of course. Because of hormone shifts. What does it do? What does it do to the body?
It basically attacks itself.
Right, so it attacks all the connective tissues, right? And the joint itself, all right? Can it be progressive? Can it be remissive? All right. Make sure you know your exercise guidelines for osteoarthritis. All right, those are in little blocks, right, in your NASM book. So you have a block for pregnancy, you have a block for osteoarthritis, you have a block for osteoporosis. So just make sure you read your guidelines for osteoarthritis. We know that all supine and prone exercise in pregnancy cannot happen after which trimester? First trimester, so after the first 3 months. Now, if somebody is active before they're pregnant, right, so they're extremely active, all right, your friend who's a runner, all right? Right. Oh. So you never want to dramatically reduce activity. Why? You're gonna lower the impact. She may still be able to keep running, but why do you not take this person's workout routine and dramatically shift it to like, unless she has a complication? It's just as much as shock on the body to stop. Yeah, as it is to keep going, if not more, right? So we want to keep them active, but we just have to reduce the intensity as we what? Go further out to the pregnancy. All right? So contraindications to training and pregnancy, all right? Is gestational diabetes a contraindication to doing exercise throughout pregnancy? Yes. All right, yes. Is previous miscarriage a possible contraindication?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Why is that? Why would a doctor possibly stop you because of previous miscarriage, especially if you've had a few? Right, because extra stress on the body during the pregnancy may cause it to happen again.
How does gestational diabetes affect like your exercise level?
It's completely related to hormone shifts in the body while you're pregnant.
And it ends absolutely the second you give birth.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
So,
over.
the baby may be large, macrosomic. Maybe you get a baby there, 10 pounds. Wow.
It was really swell.
What?
8 pounds, 9 ounces.
Yeah, it's normal range. Normal range. Yeah.
You're normal.
You're
You're normal.
You're a pudgy baby.
It's huge.
Yeah. Dave's like, I'm massive. That was huge.
Unbelievably big.
He was taking baby HGH.
Baby HGH, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Gestational diabetes is the same. It might even be more extreme than regular diabetes, just because the pregnancy
It's
shifts.
intense and it comes
It's
on
very
suddenly.
intense with the pregnancy, and it's very sudden. So they're seriously going to stop you from working out. There's no way they'll
Because
say.
of the added stress.
Yeah, most definitely. Your risk of miscarriage goes up. Your risk of having an enlarged baby, macrosomic baby, goes up. The risk of you. They don't put shit on insulin.
No,
With
but
gestational
you
diabetes.
see an endocrinologist, and what you eat is strictly twigs and branches. I mean, you have to watch
Yeah, like I
exactly
know the
what
diet
you
is
eat.
like
Ooh,
really
yeah.
I just thought
Hey, the
that
whole
maybe, like-
situation's extreme because you've never been a diabetic before in your life, and all of a sudden you're like, "What the hell is going on?" So you're going to be set up with a nutritionist, probably, like you said, an endocrinologist that's going to limit your intake during pregnancy, which may affect the child's growth as well. So
They're doing that
your body's under more stress.
So
than
yeah,
normal.
you want to take off.
Oh yeah. I don't think they always put you on bed rest, but that would depend on how extreme.
How your body, how
Yeah,
your
it's
body.
reactive.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Because I know like with gestational diabetes, I thought that exercise would help like.
Nah.
But
Mm-mm. No, because it's not normal. It's caused just by the hormone shifts that are going on during pregnancy.
Oh, I would.
All right.
Does she work tonight?
And what would you avoid in the gym with somebody who's pregnant? You guys just think, please, logically, like.
Ab machines.
All right. So a lot of abdominals, right?
No squatting.
You can do abdominals, but you're going to limit what in the second and third trimester how much abdominals you do. Just get a big stretch going on there. All right.
Stay away from squatting.
Heavy squatting.
No prone exercises.
No prone or supine exercises. What else? Going to use the abductor machine, the thing that you crank in, and you're like, no, have an abductor machine is not a good idea. It might rupture your membranes or something like that. It's too much stretch. Are we going to PNF stretch? No. All right. What else should be avoided?
Impact.
Yes. Yep. We're going to go to low impact in the second and third trimester. Anything else you guys can think of what should be avoided? Should you overhead press?
No.
Not good.
Turning upside down. What do you do?
Yeah. Actually, do you want to put her head below her chest?
No.
Yeah. Do you want her to hold her breath?
No.
Oh boy. That barrel reflex or vasovagal reflex is a lot more sensitive when you're pregnant. You tend to go unconscious pretty easy. Anything else?
Would you avoid like rotational exercises?
You don't want to.
They don't mention that. That's weird. I wonder if if it would be too much in the second and third trimester to
Yeah, maybe
really
at first it's okay.
rotate against resistance as far as like rotational exercises would be.
No big changes in altitude, flying for long periods of time.
Yeah.
At a certain time, that's
Yeah,
not-
no heat, no whirlpool, right? No salt. Yeah.
No deep diving.
Lots of
Some people
hydration.
are-
Deep sea diving.
No, some people are scuba people.
Scuba?
Scuba.
You scuba? Scuba Steve. Scuba Steve. There you go. You scuba? All right. So an adaptation that cannot happen during pregnancy.
Increase in cardiovascular.
Good. So increase in cardiovascular difference or volume uptake of oxygen. Yep. All right. So the gal is in her second trimester, and you're in the gym, and you see one of the trainers come over, and they're like, "We're bench pressing today." All right. So your gal goes to sit down
Must be crazy.
on the bench. All right. And he says, "Let's bench press today." All right. So he puts quarters on either side there, and he's like, "Go for it." All right.
It's a good trainer.
Quarters.
Wow.
Yeah.
Solid trainer.
Ah.
Gotta get big.
All right.
Get big, yeah.
So what do you do?
Say, whoa.
Say, let me help you up.
Whoa.
Hey. Hey. Unless you
not
want to
do
be
this.
delivering a baby yo right now, you need to not do that. All right. So would you stop them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Right. We're a little bit nervous about what?
About, yeah.
Right. A little bit nervous.
It's that same person that wasn't there yesterday.
They're ding dong ditching us.
Achieve is haunted.
It is. Could be one
It
of my
is.
students too. Yeah. It could be.
I missed this one.
So, just be, anything that's going to cause incredible increases in blood pressure should be avoided. So, should you be doing a lot of isometric exercises with the pregnant woman?
No.
No, because that has a big rise in blood pressure. All right. All right. Now, should anyone be dieting or trying to limit their weight gain during pregnancy? No. This isn't even in your control, so don't bother with it. Should you be careful about what you eat?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. What do we not want to eat?
Sugar.
Lots of sugar, right? What do we want? What do we feel like eating?
Sugar.
There. All right. So, what else? Processed foods, caffeine, fish with mercury, right? Any of those things you want to avoid. But listen, hey, if you gain 20, 30 pounds, is that about the right range for you? Yeah, that's okay. That's why I don't have kids, I think, because I would freak the hell out. Isn't that terrible? Do you know Jillian Michaels said the exact same thing? She was like,
That's what
"Are
she
you
said.
kidding me?" She's like, "I'm gonna gain 25 pounds. I'm adopting. There's no way." Does that necessarily mean you're gonna gain? No. The doctors want you to gain. No, you're gonna gain about 2.2 pounds. Per. When you get out in the second or third trimester, that's pretty much per month. You know what I mean? So, right?
They want you to. It's better.
Yeah, it's healthier for the baby, and unfortunately, the person is like, "This stinks," But you guys, you guys will take this weight off. I'm not even concerned about it. It's gonna be like, bang, baby, weight go on. You guys gonna be like, "Yeah, I got this." All right. If somebody was completely inactive or sedentary beforehand, is it suggested that they start an intensive workout program while they're pregnant? No. Can they work out if they get cleared though? Yeah, they actually can. But is it recommended?
No.
No. That sounds further away than the first one. The first one sounded at the door. That one sounded like, right? Somewhere further away. it's Halloween is pressing, right? We're coming into September, so if we get little hauntings, it's
Friday the 13th is coming up.
Any month that starts with a Sunday will have.
Right. Any of us who love horror movies can't wait for Halloween to come. All right.
And it's Friday my birthday.
Those and Locust candies.
All right. All right.
Garbage, you're a garbage shoe.
Adductors, guys. Adductors. All right. Is there any adductors that extend the hip? There is only
Yes.
what? One, which
Posterior
is the
head.
posterior head of the adductor magnus.
Magnus.
Good. Magnus. Yep. All right. So if we're talking about the adductor magnus, where does that the anterior head originate?
The pubis.
Right, all of the adductors, right, originate off the pubis, except for that posterior head, all right, of the magnus. And what bone do they insert on? Very good, femur.
Good, thank you.
All right, so out of the adductor brevis, longus, and magnus, which is the most superior of that group? Brevis. Brevis, good, adductor brevis. Has the most horizontal angle, all right, to it, and it's way up near the top there. All the other ones come down a little bit further down the femur. All right, so that one is up the highest there. It's the shortest and it's the most. Did I say horizontal?
Yes,
Yeah.
you did.
Oh, vertical. No,
No,
horizontal. All right, yeah, all right. I'm like, what am I? I said, did I just say the wrong thing? And I'm like, it's because I'm the. I don't know. My brain doesn't work right anymore unless I have my reading glasses on. All right, so I'm over 40. Give me a break, guys. Give me a break.
The most horizontal is.
Yeah, the brevis, and it's also the most superior.
Yeah, with flex.
Yeah.
Horizontal.
Yeah, because it's the highest up. It goes. Yeah, this way. Yeah. Yeah. I was like, did I say the right thing? All right. The lowest insertion point for the magnus is what?
The adductor.
That almost.
Tuberosity.
No, almost.
It's the tubercle.
Tubercle, there you go. The
Yeah,
adductor
something with a
tubercle.
two.
Yeah, it starts with a 2. It's something with a 2 in it.
It's got a 2 in it.
If you write that on your test, I am definitely running that wrong.
Oh, it can't be
The only
right.
time I ever give people credit is when they try to spell something that like a muscle and they're like,
Oh, and they
it's
just,
oh,
phonetic
forget it,
it.
man. They just like, they're like, I'm
That was
like,
me spelling
I know what you're talking
phalanges.
about. Yeah. Phalanges. F-I-L. All right. Your most medial adductor of all of the entire group. Gracilis. There you go. Gracilis. Actually, he's saying it correctly. Yeah, gracilis. Yeah. It's actually right because it's I-L-I-U-S. Right?
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Gracilis. Gracilis. Yeah. Which muscle is the most superior of all of the ones that do adduction?
Pectineus.
Pectineus. Good. All right. All right. So what I like to do is give you an example of what's on the test, and then what I like to do is test you with harder questions, because you can get an A on a test and not understand one thing that you wrote because they pretty much lead you on to the questions, right? So this will determine whether or not you're reading, or whether or not you're really listening, or whether or not you are thinking out of the box on your own. All right. So if I do a one-dimensional warm-up, can that be detrimental to sports? One dimensional. How's that?
It's not mimicking the actions of the sport.
Right, so a
You're
one
only in one.
Sports have many movements.
And you move in all three.
Yes.
all sport-specific movements are multiplanar. So if I warm somebody up using only one plane or one dimension, then it's not working well. So what they call it is a 3D warm-up. All right. So when you're warming athletes up, it's going to be 3-dimensional, and it's going to work in all 3 planes of motion. All right, you guys tell me what affects joint mobility. What are some things that would affect joint mobility?
Muscle insertion.
Yeah, sure. Physiology, definitely. What else?
Size of the muscle.
Yep. Sure. So muscle size, right? What else?
Bone length. Bone
Yeah.
length.
Anatomy. What else?
Would that constitute that bone length? That constitutes something personal.
Is there, like, when you think of a joint structure, right? We're talking about a lot of structures, right? We're talking about bone, cartilage, possibly synovial fluid, right? And how well it moves around in that socket, right? So, yeah, so what do you think might affect that movement in that socket? What are some things that might affect the ability?
Amount of fluid in the socket.
Yeah, synovial fluid, right? Warm-up is directly related to that, which means that if you don't warm up well, you don't have good mobility because that draws synovial fluid into the joint structure, and that allows for less viscosity, which allows for more movement, all right? So synovial fluid, definitely. What about injury?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
All right, oh yeah. Who here has suffered an injury and they feel like they don't have the same mobility anymore? What, shoulder? Shoulder? Knee, all right, yeah. So you feel restriction? Yeah, yeah. One of the main things that physical therapists focus on is after that you're injured, you gain either equal, more, or at least what you possibly can back in the range of motion. All right, that's one of their main concerns. Why is that? Now, if you have unequal range of motion on one side in comparison to the other, what happens when you want to do something with both arms together? Yeah, your entire body along the entire kinetic chain is going to compensate. All right. Yeah. Yep. So that makes sense to you guys. So they want to try to at least get what? Very close. All right, or equal in range of motion with your physical therapy. Right. Does flexibility decrease with age?
Yes.
All right. All right. So what's changing with the body that's decreasing our flexibility with age?
Elasticity's going down.
Yeah, the elastin component of muscles is going down, and we're developing some fibrosis. All right, with age. All right. There are 3 types of PNF stretching. What are those?
Form 1, 7, 3.
All right, they are named. All right, the first one is called hold, relax. The second one is hold, relax with an agonist contraction. The third form is hold, relax with an agonist and antagonist contraction. Those are your 3 forms of PNF.
Relax.
Yep, hold, relax is form 1. Hold, relax with an agonist contraction is form 2. And hold, relax with an agonist and antagonist contraction is form 3. All right. What is a passive stretch and what is a static stretch? It's a passive stretch.
Someone stretches for you.
All right, passive means we're not putting any energy into it, so someone else is applying the stretch or a piece of equipment is applying the stretch, right? Active means what?
We're actively
You're
doing it.
actively deepening the stretch.
All right, so PNF is called facilitated. Why is PNF facilitated? It is both passive and active.
Because you need to push back.
Right, so are we activating muscles in PNF stretching? Yes, we are. So it is called facilitated stretching. Are there muscles in our bodies that are susceptible to chronic shortening?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what Janda used. Just so you know, Nazem stole everything from Janda. All right? Janda is a physical therapy-based postural dysfunction evaluation that completely got sucked up by NASM and used to create your program. So if you're looking for it, when you look at it, it's going to look just like NASM. All right, it's called Janda. Kathy came to me one day and she's like, oh, Janda's just like NASM. And I'm like, hun, Janda was first. She's like, oh, NASM stole Janda. And I'm like, we're like, that's terrible. Whatever, everybody does that, right? You guys are like, steal exercise from me. They're going to steal exercise from other trainers. You'll be like, this is my exercise. Right. If I'm doing a dynamic warm-up, you guys give me some lower body dynamic warm-up moves and some upper body dynamic warm-up moves. So give me some lower body dynamic warm-up.
Squat jumps, Dux, Frankenstein's.
So knee tucks, Frankenstein's, fracking, I'm thinking of fracking. Frackingsteins.
The out.
All right. Be careful with your dynamic warm-up, guys. It should be progressive, which means it should start out slow and slowly progress, and it should make its way out to the end. Should be only the plyos and the moves that match sport specificity at the velocity of the sport. You never start out what?
Full speed.
Yeah, full speed. You start out warming up slow and progressively. All right. So I have a soccer player. So I have my soccer player, and I want to warm my soccer player up. Give me some applications of dynamic stretching that will work well for my soccer player. So don't just go ahead and throw things out there. Think about soccer. All right. So what about soccer? You run a lot. A lot. All right. So what does that mean with my warm-up?
And involve running.
Running mechanics and running, right? So running mechanics and running. So give me a drill or a warm-up that perfectly matches running mechanics. Think about arm action, think about leg action. What's that?
At the track when we were sitting down, we were doing the arm.
Good, so that's a arm, reciprocal arm drill, they call it, yep. What else? Marching perfectly matches what? Running technique, all right? So you got your soccer player out there, all right? Why would they do knee tucks?
Because they need to loosen their hips up to kick
Yeah,
the ball.
hip mobility. We're really worried about hip mobility, right? So, gates, right? Drummer boys. All right, hip mobility is going to be huge, all right? And running, the biomechanics of running in our warm-up are going to be huge. Leg swings. Why would leg swings be included in our soccer player's warm-up?
It mimics the kicking motion and also loosens the hips.
Yeah, we get and with velocity, right? So we are going to boom, boom, swing those legs, not just what? In one plane, but in all planes, all right? Don't forget about what? Frontal plane warm-ups, right? So this person isn't always moving forward. They are also always moving backwards and side to side, all right? So we have to do what? A 3D dimensional warm-up. All right, so I have my pitcher, all right? So my pitcher on my baseball team, all right? He's going to warm up a lot different from this soccer player. How is that?
So a lot more upper body.
All right. You'd be shocked at how much of the power of pitching does not come from your arms. God forbid it did. Everybody would tear their rotator cuff in the first time they threw a ball. All right. So you tell me what, if in the dynamics of pitching, what are the things you're going to think about worrying about? How does he start?
Hips.
Do a lot of pitchers start like this? Right? And then what do? They step out,
Open the gate. Yeah.
open the gate,
Across their body.
cross their body.
Warm ups across your body. Then
Yes.
forward,
Yep, so you do contralateral cross body stuff, right? You're going to warm up what?
Yeah. Hips, shoulders.
Hips, shoulders, core, hamstrings. Why do you want to really get these hamstrings warmed up?
Well, when you're a pitcher and your lead foot drives and the power comes from your hamstring.
Yes, 100%. Kevin and I were up at Better Athletic Development. He said, we're going to play a game. And I was like, okay, what are we playing? He goes, we're going to take all of these pitchers that I'm working with today, And I'm going to tell you who is the fastest pitcher, and they're not going to pitch. They're going to do one exercise, and they do that one exercise. I will tell you who pitches the fastest and hardest in this entire group of guys. I was like, okay. So we hooked their legs underneath a piece of equipment. We had them cross their arms in front. We had them fall as far as they could forward. And then we had them pull their upper body back.
There's you know Tim Lincecum? Have you
Yeah.
ever heard of him?
Nah.
He's a skinny guy on the San Francisco Giants. Has
Yeah.
long hair. He's like 5'8", but when he came in the league, threw 99 miles an hour. He weighed like 150 pounds. He was throwing harder than everyone because of his mechanics.
Oh, yeah, it's
Yeah.
mechanics. Yeah, definitely. Some of it's having a little bit of weight behind the ball, right? Angie told me that batting is a lot of technique, and I said, tell that to me and Joe.
Yeah.
Who have like 100 pounds behind the bat. You gotta have a little bit of power behind there. But it is ground force reactions and weight shift. And it is truly mechanics, because I see some little guys out there that hit the crap out of that ball. So they know physically the biomechanics of it. So why do you think that test worked? Think about pitching. Watch. It's a Romanian, right?
Yeah.
Right? It is. You're powering off that leg. That is the leg that is outstretched, right? And then throwing the ball over the top of all of that, which means most of the power is coming from the hamstring. So we watched these guys do this exercise. And the guy that went all the way down almost touched his entire body to the floor. And then came all the way up. Kevin goes back to me. He goes, guess what? He goes, he's the fastest pitcher on the team. And I was like, really? And he's like, yep. And I said, how do you know? Because he goes, the studies all say that the more powerful these hamstrings are, the faster you will pitch. So maybe we're doing all the wrong thing out there. Sitting there all day doing it. You probably should be doing what?
Romanians.
Stiff-legged deadlifts
Yeah.
and Romanians, right? Oops.
Even at the highest level, though, I feel like they make those mistakes.
Yes,
People
they
don't
do.
realize.
They do. And, that's, it studies, exercise science studies of mechanics of sports, which really gives you the deeper concepts of where what force vector is the hardest of everything. What muscle is the one muscle that has the tremendous amount of force velocity more than any other muscle of the body in this mechanic. And they do that now. They measure it in wattage. So they hook somebody up, they measure the wattage the muscle creates, and then they train the person according to that particular study.
That's smart.
All right. All right. Does extreme thinness carry some health risk?
Yes.
Underweight, yeah, as much so as obesity? Yes, but they're different health risks, all right? So that's something that we need to be concerned about if somebody comes way underweight, all right? Very good. All right, what type of warm-up would be best for your phase 1 clients? General, good, general. Static stretching, general warm-up, right? I would hate you for this, which means this is the point at which I change things around a little bit. Because if my client's coming in, they're going to walk on the treadmill or do the elliptical for the first 10 minutes, they don't even have to pay me. They're not paying me for that. Why should they pay me for that? So I'm sitting there for 10 minutes.
Watching.
All right. This is why I changed the order of foam rolling and warm-up. Why do you think I do that? Instead of foam rolling first, I warm up first and then I foam roll and then I stretch. All right. NASM has foam roll, warm up, stretch. It's going to be very difficult to fit within an hour. All right. A 5 to 10 minute warm up, 5 minutes on the foam roller, 45 minutes for a workout, another 5 minutes on the roller, and another 5 minutes what? Cooling down and stretching. Does that make sense to you guys? Mm-hmm. So what would be the best way to do the NASM application? Teach the person their foam rolling.
We could do that.
And their stretching, right?
Before we start.
Before you get started, and then what?
Go to the general warm-up.
Have them warm up, right? And then what? have them go right with you into
Their time for the work.
their time for the workout. All right. Because I really have a difficult time. That hour is going to be like, think about the time I just told you. Right? We're going to be
Yeah,
like
you're pushing it.
right at the edge of that hour. All right. What do you need to be aware of with kids in resistance training? List me some of the safety issues and things that you're concerned about if you are running a resistance training program for kids. Number one is safety. Why?
Those want kids to be safe.
They have to be supervised. They have to learn perfect form and technique. How many things can you teach a kid at once?
One.
You get a step by step.
Yeah, one would be good. All right, even as adults, if I taught you 10 exercises right now, would you remember perfectly all 10?
No.
Possibly. Some of us would, right? Some of us would get retention. But what would be the amount of exercises you would want to teach in a session?
One or two.
About 3.
Well, you max out at about
Three.
3.
3 new exercises.
That's it. That's it. No more than that. All right. At what age do you think people hit peak muscle mass? Girls and guys are different.
25 guys. 22.
21. 20.
Between 16 and 20. All right.
For males.
But doesn't that
Yes.
change based on like people's biological clocks? Are like different?
Somewhat. Not a whole heck of a lot, but somewhat. And girls are a little bit younger, so 14 to
15?
16.
That's crazy.
All right.
Makes sense. That's when
It
starts
does.
Growing.
Yeah, exactly. Right? So we're looking to take advantage of the largest amount of hormones that we have, right? At their peak.
So guys were what? 16 to
16
20?
to 20. Yep.
And girls.
14 to 16.
Seniors, warm-ups. We didn't do seniors.
Slow.
And how long?
Longer than normal.
Longer than 10 minutes. All right? Longer than 10 minutes. Seniors, rest between sets.
Longer.
Longer. Recovery between workouts. Longer. All right. Do we PNF stretch? No. All right. Would a nutritional log, you guys are finding this out now, be the first benefit to helping someone with their diet?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Why?
Because you know what you're
They make
taking
it
in.
save on to like what they're eating.
Yeah, they see what they're eating and they see what calories, portions, they're learning, right? Now, just so you know, one of my students here, Lisa Murphy, she now owns Fitness, I can't think of the name. But she owns her own fitness company, and she had 3 clients when she was a student here at school. She got a liability, and she started out with 3 clients. She got them all at an auction, a silent auction. All right, she sold herself at an auction.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And she came back to me and she said, listen, I'm sitting down with my client. We're working on our diet logs. We talked about our training program. I'm writing her training program. We did a fitness test. And she came back to me. She's like, I've had 4 trainers. And guess what? I've never had a fitness test. I've never had one offer to help me with my nutrition. And she thought this woman was the greatest person on the planet. And she said, I've only been doing my diet log for 2 days, and I had no idea
What I was eating.
how bad I was eating until I physically,
Wrote it down.
looked at it. All right? Does it make a big difference? Oh, hell yeah. You're more aware,
What-
all right, of what the heck you're doing, right? And then you're like, oh my God. You know what I found with students?
Same thing.
They weren't aware that their caloric intake was way too low. I had girls in the classroom that some days they were eating like 800 calories. I was like, whoa, whoa. She was like, I don't feel so good. I feel kind of tired. I'm like, hoo-hoo. I'm like, well, hey, you're eating your muscles and you're what? You don't feel good because you're full of cortisol. All right, so you start distributing fat. People will gain weight on 800-calorie diets. Why?
Your body's trying to
Well, your body's starving to death, right? So you gain weight. So what also did I notice with most of my students here at school? Too low fat intake. Fat intake is way low.
I noticed that in mine.
Yep.
Fat intake, so I added some avocado oil.
Good. That's great. Yeah, you probably feel a little better, maybe a little less fatigue and stuff like that. What else do you think I noticed? With almost every single diet log done by an outside person, what do you think that is one of the first things that I noticed?
Low carbs.
They're not eating enough.
Tremendous fluctuations from day to day.
Mm-hmm.
So, 2,000, 800, 1,200, 700. And what does that mean to the person's body?
Confused whenever it's working properly.
Oh, you cannot function properly unless you get on some kind of what? Consistency with what? Your intake.
But only
Alright.
for so much, though. That's a confusing part. Like,
Yeah,
how long is it
absolutely.
consistent?
Yeah.
Then you have to shock it again.
Yeah, we talked about that. So we were talking about how if you're staying, one of the things that I did notice with intake was this. If you take a person and you go to, let's say, 1,800, right? 1,500 you're at, right?
1350.
1350. Ooh, she's low. She feels so crappy. She's in the ozone layer right now. She's like, look at her. She's like, she can't even sit up straight in her chair.
That is straight now.
If she feels that bad, would you think about possibly adding in maybe a few more calories? Yeah, we talked about fluctuations, right? Which means that if somebody's consistently eating 1,500, might we have an 1,800 day? Go back to a 1,500 day, 1,200 day, 1,500 day. Just it's only just what to kick in metabolism. And if somebody hits a plateau, then fluctuations of 200-300 calories may actually help them. All right. So I talked to you about Kyle in my classroom, right? Mm-hmm. So Kyle Wellington, he's done a lot of bodybuilding shows. He's up in the Katona area. I run into him whenever I go kayaking. We run into each other. He was doing bodybuilding shows, and he was in here in class, and he would do his 8 things full of food. He was eating the same stuff all the time. So like eggs, egg whites, chicken, wild rice, egg whites, chicken. I'm like, are you like gonna throw up a chicken or something? I mean, and he was like, yeah, I kind of feel that way at this point. But what we found was his body plateaued out, nowhere near where he wanted to be, and he was all frustrated. So he came to me. I said, you know what? Let's have a fat day. And he's like, what? I'm like, Sunday, I want you to eat your highest amount of fat. Like, what do we have, 20 to 35%, right? Somewhere in that range, I want you to eat the highest percent. Guess what happened?
Gains.
His metabolism kicked in so much. On Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, he started losing weight. Why? You light the fire, right?
Mm-hmm.
You burn those heavy calories, and your body's like, whoa.
Uh-oh.
What does it do? It kicks in, right? If I eat the same stuff every single day and the same amount of calories, right?
What's kind of the theory behind carb loading, right?
Yeah, it is. But instead of carb loading, we did dietary fat loading. So what we would do is, now that's a rough day because digestion is like, So, but I mean, he would eat like a whole avocado, he would put in some nuts, he would add his fat up to the highest level that day, and he just started kicking in and losing weight so fast it was unbelievable. Because his body had neutralized and plateaued at the same amount of calories every day. His fat intake was a little bit low, and we wanted to light the fire, so we said, let's try an experiment. Let's get you up to a high amount of fat 1 or 2 days a week and see what happens. And his body was like, yeah. He felt better, and his metabolism actually kicked in at a higher rate, you know? So, you know, it works. All right, questions. You guys, any questions?
Are we gonna go through the sheet you gave us in this?
Yeah, I have it out so we can do it. Yep. Chapter 16.
choice question?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Copy of it?
right.
Yeah.
You weren't here on Tuesday.
Yeah, Nazim for each chapter has a group. I'm not crazy. Well, I am, but that
But
was
not like that.
that was not a crazy moment.
Did you hand out anything else?
I'm not crazy. What?
What? Who's that talking?
Right. Oh, that was my alter personality. I'm sorry. All right. All right, guys.
This?
Now, collect these, keep them, write NASM exam on them, because these are the questions that are going to correlate directly to your national exam. Everybody have this? Good. So, what factors, factors contribute to children having less tolerance to temperature extremes, especially when exercising? Good. So a lack of maximal oxygen uptake and less efficient what? Sweating rates. All right, A. Very good. What is caused by degeneration of cartilage within joints, creating wearing on the surface of articulating bones, causing inflammation and pain at the point? It's osteoarthritis. The average range for healthy blood pressure is, they're lowering this.
To 110 over 70.
Yep. Yep. So in the next year or so, these numbers will.
That's just to put more people on medication, right?
It might be, hon. I don't know. It might be. Hey, listen, pharmaceutical companies rule the world, so you're not completely wrong by any
We
means.
need like 3 more million, so it's...
Yeah. Let's get more people on drugs.
Absolutely. Yep. All right. Which following exercise position should be avoided in the second, third, or in third trimester of pregnancy?
Prone.
Prone. Very good. All right. Their reason why is wrong. So they say it increases intra-abdominal pressure. But what's the reason why you do not want to lay on your back? Or, well, your prone would be intra-abdominal pressure, but supine is completely different. Actually, no. The splenic beds, all right, which feed the baby. When the baby sits on the back of them, he can't get any oxygen or nutrients. So you are actually decreasing the baby's oxygen by laying on your back once you get into the second and third trimester. So we used to give an entire test on special populations, like an essay test of special populations. Kathy and I actually have a preference to it because special populations, you're going to get them. You know what I mean? So being tested on it is really important, but also knowing why you're doing something is important. So if I just said to you, oh, no supine exercise, you're like, okay, no supine exercise. But what if your client asks you, like,
Why not?
Why not? I see my friend doing supine exercises in the gym. Yeah, explain why.
So what's the reason for supine?
Because the baby is laying on the splenic beds, all right? And the splenic beds is what gives him his oxygen and nutrient supply.
Okay.
Jasmine's the only one in here with kids, so when you were pregnant, when you slept at night, did you sleep on your back? You can't. Why?
The baby would move
The
around.
baby goes nuts. He's like, get me out of here. Why?
He can't breathe.
He doesn't get any oxygen, so he's gonna kick the crap out of you. Right? He's going nuts in there. He's like, help, help, help. And then you're moving around.
Comfortable
And by
here.
nature, what? You go on your side, he calms down, especially on your left side, right? More so on your left side.
And then with prone, it adds
That's intra-abdominal pressure, yeah. Mushing the baby. All right. Hypertension is defined as a blood pressure greater than
140 over 90.
140 over 90. Children exhibit plateau in oxygen uptake similar to adults. That's incorrect. Studies show that children's level do not plateau, which is the term peak oxygen uptake. All right. Children do not produce sufficient levels of glycolytic enzymes to be able to sustain high bouts of intensity exercise. True or false? True. Resistance training for health and fitness conditioning in youth also results in a higher risk of injury when compared to many popular sports. That's false. It actually reduces the risk of injury. They actually say that studies have shown that resistance training is actually safer than most sports. All right. A recent review of literature suggests that untrained children can improve their strength by an average of 30 to 40% after 8 weeks of progressive resistance training. True. Actually could be as little as in 8 weeks, right? By the middle of this century, it is estimated that 87 million people, or roughly 21% of the population, will be 65 or older. True. Nearly a quarter of the U.S. will be over 65. All right?
Silver sneakers. Get the silver sneakers, sir.
Yeah. You got them all right? All right. Go, Frankie. All right. So I'll try to hand out these for every chapter that we do. You guys collect them, put them into your NASM National Exam Study Notebook. All right? So if you want to laminate them, whatever it may be. The NASM test is exceedingly hard.
Yeah, Mike was saying.
Yeah. Mike's very bright, and for him to come back and say it's brutally hard. So you guys really need to focus on special populations. There are 3 questions on CPR. All right, just so you know. He was like, wow, I didn't expect that, you know. Also, know your corrective exercise programming in your OPT model. This is going to be the majority of this exam. All right. Kathy and I do what's called a NASM Power Workshop. We do it at the end of school for everyone to come to, and what we do is we hit 2 straight days of NASM and slam you with it when you're done here at school. And then if you want to do it, our passing rate after doing the NASM workshop, Power Workshop, is much higher than even studying on your own, because Kathy and I actually do the applications as well. So we teach the workshop, we do the assessments, we do the corrective exercise program, and we go through that whole NASM workshop, which I put on everybody's hard drive, but we do it live. So last time we had a big turnout. I offer it to even every student that's ever graduated here. We even took another test. So people that didn't take NASM here at school took the Power Workshop and passed the exam. So it works.
I didn't realize Mike said that you have to get recertified through NASM every 2 years.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
You have to take the test every 2 years. Same one.
Whoa. Or can't you just maintain your CEUs?
Yeah, I thought it was just like 15 hours.
No, Mike said every
credits.
we saw him 2 days ago at Whole Foods, and he said that every 2 years if you retested.
Wow.
Wow.
I don't think that sucks.
No.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
That can't be right.
I don't think that's
That's
right.
a lot of money. Every 2 years.
Do you know how much
I don't
NASM
think
costs?
that's right.
You don't want to do it.
A couple $100
That's
bucks.
a lot.
$800.
That's a lot of money.
And that's
Not
without
paying
buying
that
all
every-
the
Not paying that every 2 years.
all the books and study material.
Oh,
Yeah.
Take the test.
Yeah, that's why you guys, what they did is because all of you guys are paid in for your tuition for the NASM exam, we got to deal with them. First, it was $750 per student. And we're like, are you kidding me? So we're MPTI, we're doing all your teaching, all of your that, and you're paying $750 to sit for your NASM exam. That we were like, no. So we fought it, and we got it down to $500 because we were like, listen, we're you know what we are? We're just whoring NASM out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's actually the extreme opposite there. They're whoring us out. And you guys, I like NASM, and on the other hand, there's parts of NSCA I like better, and I like the combination of teaching both. but your level of education here is higher than just a national exam. It's full-blown a year or 6 months of hands-on application. So a lot of facilities will just take your diploma. So they'll look and see that you graduated from MBTI, and in certain states now, they will not make you have to take a national exam. They'll just look and say this person went to a 500-hour course, and they have their diploma, which to them means just as much as a national exam, right? And then the only problem is that liability may, depending on who you get it through, may want you to have an actual certification. So, you know, you guys, Kathy and I really have to start going out to the gyms and really talking to the owners of gyms again, so that we can ensure the quality of trainers is keeping you guys paid a little bit more than the other guys, and having more options to jobs, because you have sat through a 500-hour course. All right. So we got, what I have is at home I have an old letter from the director before me to all the gym owners, which explain the entirety of the syllabus and the school and what we do here, and we sent it to every single owner on this side of the coast of gyms, and so they knew your education, what it was before you walked in the door. So they would be like, where's MBTI? They would be like, oh, MBTI is a 500-hour program, much like a trade school for fitness, and these guys are coming out at a much higher level of training of anybody who takes a weekend course or anything like that. So like I said, for you guys, if your gyms are trying to get away cheap, then that's the quality of training that you're going to be, the people are going to be getting out there is going to be cheap, right? So my suggestion to you guys is specialize, specialize, specialize.
Yeah, it doesn't say if you take the test again.
What's that?
I just looked it up. It says you have to pay $99 plus, well, that's a late fee, and you have to have a CPR recertification, mail that in, and then you just fill out an application, and then you show proof of your CEUs.
Yeah.
That's it.
So it is just CEUs.
Yeah, it's not a retake. There's no way they would make
But
you
it costs
retake the
$100.
national exam.
How many CEUs do you need per year?
I think you need a buy. The first year or 2 years is a buy.
It says-
Yeah.
Mike's
And
the
then,
first year, I think.
then the next year
It's
you
like
have
15
to.
hours or something
Yeah.
a year or something like
Yeah,
that.
I do most of them here, so you guys
Coaching
can
is
come back
15
here.
hours.
Because you don't get that many
Coaching set
CEUs
out
per class, right? It's like 1.9, I was reading.
Depends on the class.
Class
Some
hours
classes-
is what determines the
If it's a
CEU.
3-hour class, 3 CEUs you get.
You're
No.
gonna laugh.
Coaching
5
is,
hours is 0.5,
coaching's way different.
right? 10 hours is 1.
That's crazy.
For
Coaching is
Yeah.
every hour.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
Every
that's
hour
not bad.
is a CEU.
Two.
Yeah.
Coaching, but I guess
For
it's
CS,
different.
for CS, CSM required 6.
I guess it's different because you said you
6
just need 2.
CEUs, yeah.
You
So-
need
Yeah,
15
it's like
for
a whole
coaching, it's 1
thing
every hour.
packet.
Yeah, so I have to do online, and then I have CS. How it works is you cannot take all online. You have to either teach symposiums, take online, and take it out of the back of the magazines, and it has to be equal across the board where you get each credential from. You can't just do it all in one section. So people that have their bachelor's degrees that are CSCS certified it's all science-based. So you are taking CEUs on the dynamics of pitching. Like that would be your CEU course. Would be like the injury prevention in the throwing athlete. Plyometrics for soccer.
How long are these courses?
I can teach all of them because I'm a symposium instructor for the CSCS. So I have to look at the syllabus criteria for the course and then decide if it's a 2-day or a 1-day course to teach. But I did that purposely so that because CSCS crosses the board. So any symposium or any CEU credit that I teach here crosses everything except for AFA. Because AFA is its own affiliation. So CSCS will cross NSCA, NASM, everyone. Because I talked to the guys from NASM and I said, listen, I'm not paying you to teach my course. So if I teach a CSCS course, will it cross over to NASM? And they specifically said, yes, it will. Because the level of instruction and the level of the credentials of the instructor is higher
Than just a NASM
than just the
instructor.
NASM instructor. Does that make sense to you guys? So, you guys are going to be seeing me for as long as I'm here in the state of Connecticut, right? To get your CEUs and stuff like that. So, you know, you guys can come back here. Your recert for CPR is worth a certain amount of CEUs. My suggestion to you guys is the problem with the CEU courses is they want too much money. So, you know, I think it costs for performance enhancement specialists, weight loss specialists, and the ones that NASM throw out there, I believe it's upwards of 1,000 or more. For it's a lifetime certification,
Right.
so it doesn't need to be backed up by CEU holdings. Do you understand what I'm saying? So once you become a performance enhancement specialist, you're not required to maintain CEUs as a performance enhancement specialist. It is a little bit weird because it may change. Do you know what I mean? Applications change. So once you become a weight loss specialist, you are a weight loss specialist for life. All right. So once you're not a CEU is a specialization. All right.
Right. Oh, okay.
All right. But even still, I think they're asking way too much out of people that are young and just coming out of school in an economy that's not that great to try and put out that kind of money for a course. Is like you're probably gonna have to borrow money to take your CEU course. It's not,
Are
you
there
know.
competitive certifications that are lower and that's how they?
Believe it or not, this is why when I did the CEU course the other night that Angie taught, that cost me $100. So I send $100 into and the NSTA, CSCS, and they either approve or don't approve my course. All right, and then all of the money that I make from the course goes directly to me outside of the $100 or whoever teaches with me or whatever. And that's all CSCS asks of us. If I want to teach a NASM course like PES, I have to personally pay NASM $2,500 to teach it. And then after that one $2,500 payment is paid, then after that point, I believe that we make the money off.
But you'd have to charge us like upward
But does that
whatever
mean that
to
you
even
can
make
teach
your
that
money
at
back.
certain times if you want to then?
Yeah.
Or get like $1 million.
But how many times are you going to teach the same course? I'd rather pay the 100 and teach 20 different courses to you guys.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And have you guys pay $50 or $60
Right.
for the course, you know? If we do a 2-day course, it's more expensive, but, you know, we still make it, like, we make it $100.
Right,
So we'll make, you know, and, you know, run an entire weekend of a CSCS CEU course, you know, as opposed to running the same one, 5 or 6 of them over and over again. Because once everybody comes from the school here, once I sell out a symposium, I can't sell it out again. Do you know what I mean? Unless I'm getting tons of outside people to come in and take the course, you know?
Mhm.
So it doesn't make any sense. So anyway, the next one is going to be sports injury prevention, and I believe it's going to be an entire weekend. So it'll be a Saturday and Sunday because there's
Things
so
that
much
we do now with
information.
students though don't count towards our CEUs.
Not yet, nope.
Yeah.
Nope. But you will have your certificate proving that you took the course. So if you decide to coach or do anything like that, you still have
It still counts as
Shows-
that.
counts as what it is, as a certificate in
It's just NASM
you know,
doesn't
sports
count.
injury prevention, but it
It
won't
just won't
count.
count as a CEU.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and yeah, like I said, it's. I don't like that that they're charging so much money. I think it's too much money. Yeah. So I walk away with a couple $100. I'm happy. I don't need to make. And plus, I would feel guilty because of like, you guys. I'm friends with all of my students, and I want you guys to maintain a higher level of education. And if you guys have to do that through me, and I don't make as much money, I don't care. You know, you guys are a reflection of me. So, you know, the smarter and the better that you do out there, the more my name gets exposed. So that's what matters to me. Anyway, you guys feel good for tomorrow? Yeah, pretty good, right? Not bad. Read through that chapter 16 again, you know, so you guys know this stuff. Your muscles, did you notice there's not a lot of origin insertion questions this time?
not really.
It's mostly what? Location? They changed the nature of the questions on the muscles. We did before we had NASM, this was the hardest test for muscles because it was a comparison test, which means that you had to look at muscle groups and then compare where they were to each other instead of answer origin and insertion questions. All right. So what we're going to do today, everybody is saying that they're sore. All right, sore.
Oh, yesterday was so bad. Especially being in here, it was so cold. I walked outside, I was like, I'm gonna die.
All right. So what we're going to do is I printed out my body weight exercise library. There's 354 exercises in here. And we are staying away from our legs. We're staying away from our legs. All right, how's that sound? All right, so we'll do the core ones.
Yeah.
Right, which means we take out the dynamic warm-up ones, the lunge and the.
Yeah, my back.
All right, good. How's that sound? Yeah.
I don't sprint.
I don't sprint ever.
That was the first time I think I went literally all out since like 5th grade. I run, I jog, but I don't ever just go.
I'm still sore here.
That's why I was surprised. Yeah. I was like, wow, I run.
Yeah.
When I cough.
Yeah, ribs, right?
I didn't get that sore.
All right. You guys comfortable? Now, I need to remind you, you need to do 50 motivational quotes.
I bought that book.
Yeah, like it? I read this book twice already. Yeah.
By
Yeah.
Monday?
Steve Chandler, 100 Ways to Motivate Yourself. Yeah.
Tomorrow or by Monday?
By Monday.
By Monday?
Yep.
Do it.
So 50 motivational quotes.
Freezing. I have blood on. I have blood on.
You want us to write them out or just?
I gotta bring sweatpants.
Write them out. You'll probably use them someday. You know what I mean?
I
Yeah.
have tons of books.
Yeah.
Personal development is
My favorite is from Sir Francis
Entire
Drake.
library.
Great Things from Humble Beginnings. It's my favorite. I got a weird claw.
Look at everybody. We're like, All right, so we're going to stay with upper body and core for our body weight stuff, all right? All different kinds of push-up variations, all different kinds of core variations. I'll show you as many exercises as I can.
Who's that? They're still recording.
Still recording.